Let's do this?
Let's do it, bro.
How hard can I go?
As much as hard as you fucking want.
All right, let's do this. I am at the Genzio Media House here in Dubai with no other than the Genzio person himself. This is Zack, and he is the CEO of Genzio. And I just want to have a little bit of fun, show you guys what Genzio is all about, what they do, why they do it, and why you should care. So Zack,
let's get it, bro.
Thank you. Like,
bro, you don't
most
have to
people are
thank
not
me.
willing to do this. You know what I mean? So let's get started.
Sure.
How would you describe yourself in this organization? Who are you and what do you do?
So I'm the CEO and founder of Genzio. So I started Genzio about 2.5 years ago with myself and 2 other partners who I met at Ripple as an intern in 2019, Dennis and Bam. Bam is an MIT dev. Dennis is more of like a strategy person. So we really fill each other out. I was always the marketing person. I did marketing at Ripple, doing product marketing in 2019, and then 2020, I did listing and marketing at OKX. So I was responsible for listing Solana, Avalanche, Dogecoin, Stacks, Polkadot, a bunch of those, and marketing them on the exchange. Yeah, and so like my job at Genzio is just generally to make sure shit doesn't break as we continue to grow in the industry.
Okay. So, and it sounds like you've had experience with a lot of the big players in this ecosystem. Have you been able to take some of that experience and bring it over into Genzio?
100%. I mean, I'm really proud to say that Ripple is a client of ours now, which I worked at Ripple. And so I think having that kind of full cycle, being an intern and then having them as a client 5 years later, really cool. And I think the experience that I got launching some of those tokens when nobody knew what they were is honestly extraordinary, because I got to meet like the Avalanche team when nobody knew what they were, Arbitrum, Solana, like Polkadot. Like at that time they were coming to us like, hey, can we get listed? Like bugging us to get listed. And now they're some of the most successful projects in history in crypto. But for me, it was really just like seeing those early stages, and they all had different approaches for how they went to market. But learning from those approaches and with those leadership teams was extremely insightful. Like I got to work with Jay, who is the CMO of Avalanche, John Woo, the president, as they kind of came into market. And I got to watch all of kind of early initial campaigns when they had like under 20,000 followers, to essentially grow to where they have now. And like I said, they all took different paths, but I learned a lot from the people who decided what paths to take. And then when we actually listed the tokens on OKX, I really got to understand what made people interested from a community standpoint, because we had to directly engage with their community to get them to come on the platform and trade with the assets. And for a lot of the times that we listed them, they were actually the first to be listed. So like, for example, Stacks, we were the first company to list that in the US. So we actually brought that to the US, and now it's like a massive project. But back then we were trying to still explain to people like what it was, and there's a ton of FUD. But anyways, yeah, it's been really interesting.
Yes,
really interesting.
You've seen the good and the bad in these projects, what people perceive them to be. That's incredible experience. But let me go a little different direction here.
Go in.
What the heck is Genzio? What does it mean?
Genzio is Genzio. So if you look at the spelling, that's the subtext. And really, if we look at Web3 as an industry, it's a young industry, okay? Vitalik turned 30 this year, within the last year. He's 30 years old, okay? So nobody can tell me that this isn't a place for young people to take the lead on. And Genzio is not only for young people, it's for everyone. But I think the spirit of Gen Z is very social media first and very, very high performers when it comes to communication. We grew up with cell phones. We grew up using social media, and in a large part of our generation, we grew up crypto native. We were learning about Bitcoin as a payment system before we were even able to get bank accounts for a lot of us. So to us, it seems like a very natural form of adoption. And what Genzio does really at its heart is helps the evolution of technology happen faster. And what do I mean? Like, why do I care about that? What do I mean by that? Well, I actually minored in human rights, which like a lot of people don't know. So I very much care about like the world, people, alleviating poverty, opening up opportunities for people around the world. That's what I care about. And I honestly believe that technology is a huge equalizer for the world and can open massive doors for people that previously could not, whether that's Web3, AI, so many different things. And so I think where Genzio fits into that picture is we essentially take really complex concepts, whether that's DeFi or gaming or whatever, Web3, AI, we break that down and distill it to a mass audience through social media, whether that's X, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. It's our job to take what the company is trying to share, if it's good technology, and help it get adopted faster so that people's lives can honestly be improved. And like, that's not bullshit. Like, I remember going to MoneyGram in Western Union at Safeway, and I talked to some of the people there who are sending money home to their families. And this is what I studied at Ripple, was remittances. And I learned that 12% of the entire GDP of the Philippines is remittances. There's entire industries built up around the fact that people are sending money home and they just fucking rip these people off. They take huge percentage fees, cash on top of that, and it takes days. And so, you know, I would go to Western Union and I'd talk to these people in line, like, why don't you like buy crypto? Because there was also an ATM right next to it where you could buy crypto and send it. And like, they just didn't get it. Like, it seemed scary to them. All they could hear about was speculation. They didn't understand that, like, okay, like, I could actually use this technology to send money to my family in the Philippines in a much more efficient way that's actually helpful to them in seconds. And so to me, I was like, okay, if I can make this technology adoption curve like a shorter period of time so that the rate of adoption is increasing, those people's lives will generally improve, because they're not going to be spending money to banks or to these kind of, like, in my opinion, kind of just like parasites on the economy that they don't really provide any value except for that there's no other option.
Yeah.
It's like the mob or something.
So I understand what you're doing,
Yeah.
but if I can take it one tiny step back,
Take it anywhere you want.
why do you care about that?
I think because I honestly care about people, and I've seen a lot of just like fucked up shit, I guess, in my life. Honestly, like, you know, I went to a high school that was pretty tough, honestly. There was a lot of gang activity, and I grew up like fairly well off, but then I transferred into public school when I was a sophomore because I wanted to essentially know what that was like. And it was extremely eye-opening to me. 40% of the people at my school were on free and reduced lunch food stamps, and a lot of them were immigrants. The school that I went to actually is the most diverse school in the entire United States.
Wow.
So it was like 30% white, like 25% black, 25% Mexican, Native American, Asian. Like, it was just, you know, and I think having that experience and talking to these different people and then traveling the world and seeing situations where people are in such, you know, tough situations by no fault of their own, that if they had just a little help, a little, you know, either if it's technology or money or different things, their lives could rapidly improve, and then they could actually contribute to making the world better. And I think, to me, that is like the point of being alive. It's like to make the world better and to optimize those efficiencies. Like, I'm not here to just like make a stack of paper, go buy a Bugatti and like fuck off to the beach. Like, you'll never see me do that. I've barely even taken any money out of Genzio. All of the money that Genzio has made, Genzio's bootstrapped. Genzio took no external funding. I own 51% of Genzio. My partners own the other part. No external investment. We put in our own capital at the beginning and we grew it organically. Every dollar that we make is reinvested back into the company. And the reason for that is because I believe that returning value to the industry in which it was created is a more fruitful and kind of longer term success plan versus a lot of these agencies who come in, they take a shitload of token, take a shitload of cash, they bought the fuck out of these accounts, and then you never hear from them again. And the agency's gone, and the company's screwed. And I hate that. Like, it puts a whole damper on our industry. And like I said, that's like the people I'm talking to at Western Union or whatever, they're the people who are reading these news stories and are becoming skeptical. So I wanted to change that narrative and hopefully be kind of a good actor in the space.
So that, not to talk about myself, but that's literally my story. I grew up in a third world country and had the crazy opportunity of coming to the States and doing something with my life, all thanks to technology. But that's a story for another day. I want to focus on you and what Genzio is doing. I know there's a ton of projects and companies out there looking for help. Do you just say yes to anybody, or are you selective?
No, we don't say yes to anybody. We say yes to projects that we honestly believe will help people or that have real utility. Obviously, some projects are fun. If it's just like a meme coin to have fun with, for example, we're not going to say no, as long as it's clear that's what it's for. We will never be associated with like a rug pull,
right?
As far as I can help. If someone comes to us and I believe that they're nefarious, and we have turned down nefarious projects, we won't work with them because that would harm our reputation to the point where we couldn't recover.
Yeah.
We're only able to do what we're able to do because of our reputation.
So what is it that you do exactly? Like, what are companies coming to you for?
Yeah, totally. So really it's the main kind of services we offer, like social media management. And what does that really mean? So I'll give an example. So for ETH Denver, which is one of our bigger kind of partners and clients, we run their Twitter handle. Before the event and during the event, we provide coverage, we write tweets, we do pictures. I'm sure everyone here has seen kind of the work that ETH Denver puts out. That is done by the Genzio team. The actual written tweets you see, the videos you see edited, all of those kind of access. We hosted Twitter Spaces with them. That is all created by Genzio and curated through these communities to success. And I think more and more companies are coming to us for these services, not only because we can provide them, but because we have a built-in community. Genzio has people who follow us because they're interested, and because we have so many different communities that we collaborate with, whether it's in gaming or DeFi or infra, DePIN, we're able to kind of find like-minded groups of people, put them together, and increase the rate of the adoption, because you're not starting from scratch when you're working with Genzio. You're getting access to our network, which includes ETH Denver. Now we're running Korea Blockchain Week, ETH Toronto. We've worked with EdCon. So the reach has really expanded, I would say.
So essentially I don't want to say leverage necessarily, but your clients help other clients grow.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's because we often are hit with like, well, what if you scale too fast or whatever? For us, the more accounts that we run, the more successful of a company we have. We have unparalleled reach, honestly. We would never use that reach nefariously.
Right.
But if we really had something that we wanted to put out, we have access to millions of followers in any time throughout all of these accounts. Now, we're never going to do anything nefarious with these accounts, but the point of that is that the network size in and of itself, if something gains traction, it can really gain traction because there's such a long way for it to go. And I'll give an example of this. We published the Vitalik pickup line video.
Okay.
One of the most viewed videos of Vitalik of all time. It got around 2 million views on our channel, and we published it through ETH Denver. And through that, it got picked up by more people. And now it's got over 20 million views across all platforms. It's Vitalik saying, Vitalik, what's your favorite pickup line? He goes, what? I don't know if you've seen it a lot, but it's very viral. But I think it was because of our network that these things were able to happen. If you didn't, it's about distribution. It's like you could have the best, whatever the hell this thing is in the world. You could have the best, whatever this is in the world. And I say, this is a great product. I don't know what the fuck it does. But if you have no way to get this product in front of other people, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't. The whole idea of build it and they will come is dead. There's too much stuff. There's too much noise.
Yeah. You
need a clear narrative that cuts through the noise and honestly makes you stand out from the bullshit. And I think some projects that are doing that really well right now is IONet, one of our clients, Barachain, absolutely ridiculous marketing. And when you notice that, you don't even think of it as marketing. You're just like, wow, this is cool,
So talking about all these different clients, obviously they span all types of, from events to DePINs to all sorts of things. What's your ideal client? What does that profile look like?
Right. Well, I think honestly, as we've kind of grown the company, we've seen us be more of a consumer-facing products. So that means gaming, that means DePIN, it means someone downloading a game, installing a node, making a trade. joining a social app. I think our specialty is really in getting to the masses, because I have a strong feeling, and from the numbers that we've seen, the content that we've produced, we connect with people that may have not originally been into crypto. And the reason I think that, or at least into different communities, and the reason I think that is because we'll publish a video on Algorand. We'll get a ton of people really excited about it from the Algorand community. We'll publish a video on Ripple. And what we'll see is some people from the Algo community actually then followed and are now paying attention to that.
Got it.
So
cross-pollination, huh?
it is.
That's the name of the game. I mean, that's a huge thing. It's not anybody that can say that, right? And you have incubators that sometimes assist people with that. And I feel like you guys are a media company. You do marketing, but you're almost like taking away what an incubator would have to do. Like, no, you don't need an incubator. We'll take care of getting you connected, right?
Exactly. And I think for us, the incubation part is what we also pride ourselves on, because we take tokens from companies. We're willing to put our skin in the game. I would way rather go 50-50 on a company, do like half tokens, we're in it with you, half cash, because I believe in what we're doing is right. So a lot of our partners come to us with tokens or cash in early stages, and if we believe in them, we'll take all tokens, because we believe that we can make it successful.
That's incredible. So where do you go from here? I don't even know how many accounts you have.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be, let's say, in a year?
So yeah, let me talk about this. So the size of the company right now, we've grown significantly in the last 2.5 years. We have over 53 employees right now, spanning the US, Canada, LATAM, Europe, including the UK, Spain, France, as well as Asia, which includes Korea, Japan, the Philippines, Thailand, Hong Kong. And so we've really kind of expanded, and I think we're not going to stop that. The rate at which we are seeing new customers and new clients come in, as well as the retention, is at an all-time high. Now look, we make mistakes like any other agency. We're not perfect. And I think a lot of the times when I listen to pitches from other agencies, which I did often at Ripple and OKX, they would promise things that I knew couldn't be promised unless they were faking it. If a marketing agency comes to you and they say, we can guarantee that you get 50,000 users or followers for X price, that means that they're botting you.
Right.
How I think of Genzio is we've put together this team of Avengers, and you're one of them, Aaron's one of them, so many different partners, people that we work with, people that we respect and we know do really good work in the industry, like yourself. We've kind of, I think, as best as I've been able to, try to get as many of those people together, because we all kind of have similar goals. And I think for us, we really want to continue to bring this technology forward until, I would say we're definitely in the top 3 agencies right now. I want to become obviously number 1, and we're going to continue to expand into AI as well. So it won't just be blockchain, Web3, we'll be helping AI companies. And then this is kind of a new thing that I haven't really disclosed yet.
Alpha.
We will be launching a product at some point. Genzio, the amount of data that we have on what makes social media successful is unparalleled because of the amount of accounts we run. I can look at any Twitter at this point and tell you exactly what's wrong with it, what's right with it, and all of this. And we're going to program that into software that allow people to analyze their profile and instantly buy services to fix their social accounts. And that's going to go from beyond just Web3, that's where we start, beyond just AI. I can imagine long-term Genzio to be the place for a mom and pop shop who doesn't understand social media to come on, quickly integrate, and have decent marketing.
Yeah.
We wanted to start with Web3 because that's where the money is, and we're bootstrapped, and we wanted to make sure that what we did worked before we kind of start to productize it.
So I'm a big fan of understanding the why behind things. Why do you want to become number 1?
I think I want to become number 1 because I honestly believe that the people that we have on our team and the mission that Genzio has, which is to, help the rate of technology become adopted faster, is something that this industry needs. We need leaders in this industry like Vitalik who are focused on the mission of Web3 and not the short financial gain. And that's easy to say. Everyone fucking says they don't care about money. They don't, whatever. But if you look at people in the industry over time, it becomes very, very clear who cares about money and who's actually here to stay. We've been through the bull market and we've tried to continue good work. We're not going anywhere. If we lost everyone at Genzio, I would just be going by myself. I'd be writing the tweets. I'd be doing everything by myself. But I think we need to become number one, because I honestly believe that by doing that, we will be able to increase the rate of technology and adoption and bring these communities together in a much more efficient way. Like, the amount of segmentation in Web3 is ridiculous. The amount of tribalism, the amount of I don't talk to you because you're Solana and I'm Arbitrum and you're Bitcoin Maxi and I'm into Ethereum. Yeah. And it's people fighting in the kiddie pool, when there's an ocean. And so I think it's our job to break that barrier between everybody else and Web3. And I think it's going to take younger generation. It's going to take new leadership who are kind of grown up with this technology to evangelize it and bring on people. If you think of like your grandma or something, or your parents, who is often teaching them how to use a phone, how to use Venmo, how to use Facebook? They're not learning that on their own. Their kids are teaching them. Often, I remember even being a kid, my parents couldn't even figure out how to use like a camcorder. It's like, this is how you do it. You click the record button, like this is how it goes. And I think that kind of rate of adoption is really what we need here. It needs to be fast. Like, we don't have 20 years for people who don't understand this industry to come in, learn it, and then make a mess of it.
All right, so here's the downside of this that a lot of people will say, well, growing too fast just means you're going to fail, right?
I mean, I think we've grown at an appropriate speed because, like I said, we're bootstrapped. So we've only grown as demand has required it. If demand didn't require us to have a 53-person team, we wouldn't, because we wouldn't be able to afford it, because we don't have any external funding. So our growth has been from the success that we've had for our clients over long periods of time. And I think as an agency, we take pains to ensure that as we grow, the quality stays high. And if we notice that the quality is slipping, we have a lot of different things internally to track that. Like we do our own reporting internally. We have our own KPIs that we set up and our own sort of formula that we use, whether that's like a combination of certain amounts of posts or video, replies or spaces. We have a very specific kind of formula that we teach our social media managers and our community managers when they onboard. This is the way we do things at Genzio. This is the standard that we hold you to. If you fuck it up and you lose a client, you're gone, So it's always clients first.
So this is going to be a fun one because I just want to see where you want to go with it. Yeah. Let's say money it doesn't matter. You had unlimited amounts of money. What would you do with the company?
If we had unlimited amounts of money, we would massively scale up our media operation. Okay. I think right now, media and crypto is so pay to play, it's complete bullshit. You talk to someone from Cointelegraph and you want an article, they quote you $10,000. That's garbage. That's most of these publications. That's Blockworks. That's all of these guys, okay? They're charging asinine amounts to write articles that people ultimately just read on Twitter, okay? You look at the actual site traffic for these places, it's not good, and it's from places that are not necessarily adopted. And when they actually get published, people see them on the internet anyways on Twitter. So these kind of old or new news sites, I see them as legacy media. They're old, okay? We don't want that. We want to just get our news on Twitter where we are all day. And so if I had unlimited money, we would massively scale up the media operations to accommodate that demand. We can't accommodate the demand right now. We have, one camera here. We're here. We just came from Paris. We're here now. We're Thailand next. Before that, we were at ETH Denver. Next, we go to Consensus. And, that's very expensive to fly people around and do all this. And we do get sponsors to come on and sponsor our content. But we don't want to be reliant on sponsors to continue to put out content. We don't want to be biased. We want to be uncensored and free to say whatever the fuck we want so that we can continue to have the platform that people will want to come and join because they know there's no hidden agenda here. So that's what I would do. I'd absolutely scale up the media side and make media and Web3 really accessible. Get rid of all these paid articles. That is garbage, man. All of them do it. All of them do it. And it's honestly just embarrassing for our industry.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. So I want to make sure that people actually watch this thing all the way through. Give me your call to action. Like, what is it that you pitch your clients? Like, you got a little bit of time with them. What are you saying?
I mean, like, while they are my clients or before?
Before it's on board.
I mean, look, I think good work speaks for itself. So when I get on calls with clients, I don't talk about anything usually. I usually open up my screen and show our Twitter and go through it, and I'm like, this is what we do. We run ETH Denver. We run this account. We run this account. Here's a video I made with Action. Here's a video Mia made with whoever. Here's something we made with Vitalik. And showing that we are actively leading those conversations and honestly driving the narrative with that content is, I think, way more attractive than me saying like, oh, we could do this for you and I've done this and this. It's like, no, this is actually what we're doing right now, today, every day. You can look on our channel. We got posts going out today, videos coming out from well-known people. And I think that, you know, when we show clients that, we show them what we are actually doing, and they're like, okay, these guys get it. And why I think that matters is if you look at some of our competitors like Waxman, who's running the PR here, their Twitter is complete garbage, bro. Like, you look at their actual Twitter, they have no engagement and they post links that nobody reads. And so imagine being a company that is assessing whether someone will be good for your social media and their own social media is complete trash. And that happens all the time in Web3.
It's very true.
All the time. And personally, I don't think that you should sell a service that you haven't tested internally and know it's successful. Makes sense. Our social media on Twitter is like our portfolio, our way to show off our work to the world.
So no empty promises. You show them what you've been able to build, and if they want to follow that path, you make it available.
Exactly.
That's not sales. That's just you're skipping sales. You're basically saying, "Want to come on? This is what we do." That's phenomenal. How do you take when somebody says, "Yeah, I don't think I want to go with you"?
We hear it all the time. I mean, less and less. But I think honestly, some of it has to just do with pricing, because we're not the cheapest agency, of course. We have a lot of Americans, very expensive in the U.S. I think often this actually happened this last week. I'm not going to name names, but we had an agency company come to us in July, and we were talking with them. They signed with another agency. Said, okay, like, no problem. We're not going in here. We'll be here for you. Like, no hard feelings. Like, they're my friends. I'm not upset about it. This month, so it's July. What is that? 9 months later, Zack, you were so right about that other agency. I wish we didn't waste all that time with them.
Wow.
And now they're becoming a client of Genzio. And so that to me is, they've been watching, they've been seeing what we've been putting out, and they recognize that what they were getting was not up to standard. And I think the problem with Web3, the problem with marketing is that a lot of these agencies will just bot the shit out of clients. So you'll look at an account and you're like, wow, that looks really good. They've got 300,000 followers. They're getting a bunch of likes. Like, okay. But then you dig into the numbers, you dig into who's actually liking that.
Right.
And it's all bots. And so I'll have companies come to me and be like, well, why aren't you doing this? Like, why don't we have these kind of numbers? And I'm like, because we didn't buy you a bunch of fake followers. If you want me to go ahead and buy you a bunch of fake followers, we can, but that's a horrible idea. Like, please do not make us do that. I don't want, like, I almost will refuse and will be very upset if our client does that. And we won't do it because it makes us look bad and it makes them look bad. And I've heard it akin to taking steroids. Like, you can take some steroids and like maybe you're gonna look good for a while, but the long term of that is like really awful. Or taking drugs or something. It's like a quick high, a quick boost, but over the next couple of years, it's going to become really obvious you don't have users, you don't have a community, and they're all paid to be there. And so if you look at like Stacks, for example, which is a project I'm very bullish on, they did not do that. They built very organically, slowly, didn't have a ton of traction at the very beginning, and then blew up over time. And that's much harder. but it also is much more sustainable.
And is it worth it?
Honestly, I think that if you're in this for the long term, yes. I have seen people who have just gone and bought the shit out of accounts, then raised money off of that.
Yeah.
But what does that do in the long term? Burns all your bridges. VCs will never touch you again, and you ruin your relationship in the industry. So to me, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, no, and relationships are everything in this space. I mean, the person that you might be working with today at one company might be the same person that you work with tomorrow at some other company, right? So
it's still a small space.
Yeah, it's very, very small. So, and I think you nailed it on the head when you said that we're basically all in the kiddie pool right now. Like, the space is small. So when we learn to work together, I mean, that is the dream, right? And I know you run a lot of spaces, you do a lot of posting, and I've seen companies that are not signed with Genzio coming on some of these spaces as guests. I mean, even at the Media House, you bring on other companies and you highlight them. Why do you do that?
Because we're about opening up the ecosystem. I don't want to be like those other media companies that charge. That is not what this space is about. I've been in crypto since 2011. I went to some of the very first meetups, and they were nerdy as shit, but everyone was so nice and welcoming, and it was a real community, and that's the way I want it to be. And so I'm gonna be the way that I want others to be. And if we have someone on who, is really well known, they don't want to be our client and they want a great video, awesome. That doesn't bother me. I'm glad that we are able to help provide content that people love.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you guys are listening and you have a project, you have something going on, you can't afford to, come on board with Genzio, reach out anyway. Let them know, hey, I'm available. I'm doing XYZ in the space. Maybe there is a client that is part of Genzio that might be able to, not even partner, but just come on spaces together and have a candid conversation about builders, about what's being done in this space. And that goes a long way. I mean, you have top 3 agency willing to give you a hand. That to me is incredible, right? That doesn't happen every day. And I'm really appreciative that you take that stance.
I don't think any other agencies do this. And it is expensive. And it is, when we started doing this, my partner's like, Zack, what is the return here? We're renting out these super nice Airbnbs. We bought all this camera equipment. We were flying people around the world. But what we've seen actually is that some of the people that we've made interviews for content with come to us as clients because we've done a really good job for them. And they're like, wow, what a great experience. I got to come in. I did this really good interview. It got published. It got a bunch of views. It got some traction for my project. Maybe when I was there, I met some other VCs who invested.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And you're absolutely right. Even if someone's not a client and they want to come on to the media, most people who come on our media are not clients. I mean, a lot of them are, but that's not the point of it,
That's awesome. I mean, honestly, I just want to say thank you. This doesn't happen every day. People don't have the heart to do what you're doing. I mean, like you said, everybody says, well, it's not about profits, but seeing that you actually mean that, it's genuine. And it's what we need in this space. It does not happen very often. And I'm so appreciative of your heart behind things and the way that you're running this place, man.
I appreciate it, bro. It's much love. I really care about everyone in our company, in our community. This is my life. I've been in crypto since I was 14. So I'm not going anywhere.
It's been 3 years, guys. I'm just kidding.
Whoa, hello.
No, but Zack, thank you so much. Let's close it here so that people can watch this one, have questions, and we'll do it again. Thank you all for listening in and sticking around to the end of the video. Make sure you check out Genzio if you want to be a client or not, because this thing is open for everyone. Thank you again, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you, Action.
My pleasure.